Hello, everybody, and welcome to the
Are you
Mr.
ready?
Pick Me. I am talking now. Why would you ruin it
Hello?
immediately?
Hello? I didn't hear you. What was that?
Hello,
Hey, everybody,
everyone.
and welcome to the Mr. Pick Me and the Manhater talk show radio host
Nope,
hour.
wrong. That's not what we're doing here.
We are here to do a show brought to you by Zoom.
You have to stop giving fake sponsors. Okay, brought by us. It's just by us. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I
By
am.
Menon. Do you remember those commercials?
What?
By Menon. What was Menon? Is that it? Do
I
you remember those
literally
commercials?
could not tell you what you were talking
It
about.
was by Menon. I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking. We're doing a show. This is
I'm
the
so
great
glad
time
this
for
is
it.
how you're doing an
By
intro. You're
Menon.
screaming old commercials.
Menon Speed Stick. It was a deodorant.
That is so important to us right now. I'm so glad you have taken the time to educate us on deodorant. Okay, well, that's
Anyways,
our intro for today, I guess.
by Menon.
It's not by Menon, it's by no one, it's just us. Welcome. And today we're taking it to one of our classic formats, which is doing a Am I the Asshole? So, what question are we answering today?
Am I the asshole for asking my wife to do her responsibilities?
Ooh.
Theme song.
You want bad advice? Man, I'll give it out gladly. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. I got some good advice for you. No, you don't. Like, no, you don't. Shit.
That was the most unhinged intro ever. You interrupted me immediately. Literally, I got two words out and you're blah, 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 blah. Like,
Uh,
why?
I don't know. I'm afraid to do a good one. I feel like that's the end. That's going to be our last episode.
Why? It's not like a
I don't.
curse.
Maybe it is. I don't even. What's wild is I am the most. What's the word I'm looking for?
Insane.
Yes. Um, so I am the most non-superstitious person in the world. I don't actually believe in any superstitions, but I'm also like, but we need to do it this way. So
So
maybe
maybe anxious and not
I guess maybe
superstitious?
it's anxiety
Yeah.
superstition where I'm like, if we don't do it exactly this way, it's going to be bad.
Yep.
I don't
That's
know,
fair.
but yeah, but I don't believe there's any higher reasoning for it. I just think maybe I do. Maybe I'm learning something about myself. Did I just become religious again?
I just
Am I
found
going to
God.
church?
Nope, you're just anxious. That's all. You just found mental illness.
Found it a long time ago.
I know. Can't get away from it.
Really never lost it. It's
I wish it would go away.
all right. So this is broken into four parts. Would you like part one? It's not like
Yes.
four, there's not like four chapters to this. It's just I took four screenshots, and so that's why it's
I was like, this is a saga.
no, it's
Okay.
not even that long. It's just so part one of the AITA saga. A little about me. I'm 30 and my wife is 29.
I'm so sorry. That's just such a rough start. Okay, keep going.
Before we got married, we knew each other for 3 years. We decided I would be the sole earner responsible for finances and taxes, while she would be a housewife, taking care of the kids and household duties. We agreed she would never work, and I wouldn't ask her to either. Okay, so that's the
Okay.
first part. So at at this point, there's already obviously hints of weirdness going on here,
Hmm.
but if you agree on something as a household, that could still be a
Sure.
partnership. It doesn't have to be. So at this point, there's nothing really
I don't have a problem with people agreeing on how they want to divide the
right,
labor in a household.
right.
That's fine by me, as long as they both agreed to it and they don't change it on each other.
Hmm.
So,
I agree, and that's the thing. Up to this point, it's fine. Part two,
what short
and
part?
I know, and that's why I said that it was weirdly posted online, so I had to
Okay.
take weird screenshots of it. In the first 2 years of our marriage, we didn't have kids. I worked from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sometimes she'd wake up and make me breakfast, sometimes she wouldn't. I didn't mind because we were early in our marriage. On days she made breakfast, she would also pack me lunch. On days she didn't wake up early, I would eat both breakfast and lunch at work. This is very specific.
Wow.
She would wake up around 12 to 2 p.m., do household chores, and
Hmm.
wait for me to come home. We would have dinner together and spend time going out for movies, dinners, or visiting friends at least twice a week.
Okay.
So, so
It's
far, just
interesting.
kind of
The
go ahead.
the amount of details he's adding is making me nervous.
Yeah, and I
I'm
think
like,
it's
why are you telling me where you ate breakfast and lunch?
mhm,
Okay.
part three. Is that all should be one part, but this year we had a baby. I took 1 month of leave to help her, which is the maximum my job allows. State leave was not an option because the subsidized pay wouldn't cover our bills. After my leave, her parents stayed with us for 2 months helping with the baby. I supported all the household bills during this time. After they left, our baby was 3 months old, and this is when the issues began.
Oh
My
boy.
wife my wife was used to her previous routine of waking up late and now found it difficult to manage caring for the baby and household chores.
This is where I start to sweat. You know how crazy I am about supporting new
Yeah.
moms.
I mean, I mean, the audacity of her to have any difficulty with it, it's easy, right? 3 months old.
I also, this is biased probably, but
Uh,
I feel like he's exaggerating the before because he's saying she like
yeah,
slept until noon every single day.
yeah,
As at
yeah.
30, unless they're staying up. Okay, keep going.
Oh no, wait, is this final part? How many parts are there? No, there's 5 parts. Sorry.
You lied to me.
I did. I offered to lie. I offered to lie. I offered to help by cleaning the first floor of our house and putting our baby to bed several times a week, despite working from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., handling all immigration paperwork. I don't understand what that part's about. There was no explanation of it. Taxes, bills, and grocery shopping since she doesn't arrive. However, every day I come home, she seems angry or upset, often taking it out on me. Sometimes it's about the baby, sometimes it's about me not helping enough around the house.
What is that? Where's the immigration coming in?
I don't know where that has no that doesn't come back up again. So I don't know what that's about. But there's some sort of immigration
Okay.
paperwork. I don't know.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. Today we had an argument where I asked her why she was consistently struggling with her responsibilities. I acknowledged that she had an easier life in the first 2 years of our marriage because she didn't work, but reminded her that we had planned for this baby and understood it would require more work. We had agreed she would be the primary caretaker and housewife, but now she would not stop complaining and we can't stop having fights. Am I the asshole for asking her to fulfill her share of the household responsibilities?
Chesko, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I think he's an asshole because I think there's the reason I thought this was to be an interesting one to discuss because there's very clearly a lot of stuff he's not saying.
Right, right, right,
Uh,
right, right.
in this is like there's a lot of detail, but at the same time there's no detail, right? It's kind
I
of
ate
odd.
breakfast. I ate
Yeah.
lunch in the cafeteria. Like, tell me more
Mhm.
about the important stuff. What's going on at home?
And he emphasized, "I'm working." That's the
Yeah.
part that actually really that annoys me. I don't want to say more than others, but that I work 8 to 6. I need to be clear. I have a job where I'm
Yeah,
working many hours versus her. I let her have this extravagant lifestyle the first 2 years of our
yeah,
marriage
yeah.
where she got to do whatever she wanted. So I've put in my dues, right? But
That's
now,
that's the thing. And I
Mhm,
even spoke to this, I think, at the very front end of this. So often when this arrangement is set up,
mhm,
it ends up with resentment, as in the the man who agrees, like, this is traditional roles, right?
mhm,
The woman can like stay home and do the caretaking and like take care of the house. They hold resentment for that,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And that's what we have here. He's like, I did it for 2 years. I went to work. I
mhm,
did this. She sleeps until 12. It's like, that's the agreement though, isn't it? Like, as long as she was taking, why are you complaining? And now you're
mhm,
continuing to clearly like you're taking a tally of it, right? So
Mhm.
if that's the arrangement, then why are you upset? And like, why are you
Right.
even to even bring all that stuff up showcases the fact that I think he's somewhat resentful
Mhm.
and believes maybe he's giving more than she is, despite the fact that they set that up.
And I think even the go back to the breakfast thing
Yeah.
too. I think that was very clearly set up like to get people like, wait. She wasn't making you breakfast every day
You ate lunch
and
in the
lunch.
cafeteria? Disgusting.
Yeah. Oh my God. She said she would like is he was expecting there's
Yes.
very clearly some anger there already, even though he's
Yes.
acting like I was fine. It was not a big deal.
Yeah.
No,
Why are you telling us those
you
details?
noticed it very
Yeah.
specifically because you resented it, the fact that she was not doing that.
And it's one of those things where you're just like, if you agree that that's fair and that's how you're going to do it, then you can't hold on like hold on to that. You can't do this
Hmm.
checklist. You can't think that you're giving more if you guys
Hmm.
agreed to that. And I think that's what we're seeing here is like he clearly thinks he's doing more. He's talking
Hmm.
about the hours he's doing. And then we add the parent. And here's the thing, like being the primary caregiver, while obviously that's a role,
Hmm.
caregiver, and primary being you're the one who's doing the like the dominant amount of the work, right? Being a parent is a two-person job and it's a
Hmm.
role. So to say like, well, that's your job.
You
You're doing
agreed.
all the caregiving. Like,
Hmm.
no, you're parenting, bro.
I gave you a free ride for 2 years, and now I deserve to never have to lift a finger
And that's it, right? That's
again.
that's the traditional role. It's like I'm
Hmm.
kicking the shit out of this desk. Sorry. I'm
Hmm.
just seeing my computer
Yeah.
shaking. Um is like they're like you be like the Susie homemaker and it's going to be
Hmm.
great and then we'll have kids. They see raising a child as the
Hmm.
woman's role.
Hmm.
And that's crazy, as if like
Hmm.
all of that should be their role. They should come home, they should still have everything done for them, and they should not have to participate in the child. And he's like, I put the child to bed. Like, yeah, because it's
Hmm.
your child.
I do it a couple times a week. Like,
It's like, yeah. Like, I mean, did
mhm.
she give birth? Do we know? I
Yeah,
guess she did because he got leave, right?
yeah, yeah. I believe so. Like
I
I said,
mean,
it's
she's
worded very oddly.
yeah. Immigrant. Did they adapt? I don't know. I'm very unclear as to what's going on here. But
Hmm.
like, as a parent, like you're both parents, regardless of who's working, because
Hmm.
also like her role is keeping up the house, right? And then she has to
Hmm.
parent on top of that, which is a full time, especially when you're sleep deprived. So it
Hmm.
makes sense if he's seeing it as like a work role, which he's acting like it is.
Hmm.
That yeah, I bet if she has a newborn, it's a
Hmm.
little bit harder to keep up with the household chores
Yeah.
and tasks, but because you're constantly like when you have a baby that young, it's like you're changing diapers constantly, you're
Hmm.
cleaning up after things, you're doing nap time, like they constantly need to be taken care of. It's a full-time job, 24/7. They literally depend on you for survival, so it's like
Hmm.
you don't have the extra time that you used to have to
Hmm.
like do all these
My
other things.
Yeah, my advice I always hated from people were like,
Nap when she
to
naps.
yeah, nap when she naps, but also that's your time to do stuff. So it's like you're trying to get stuff done during the little time you have. They nap a lot, but they also don't nap at all. Nap at all. It's a weird thing. They
Yes.
sleep a lot,
When they're
but
newborn, they sleep a
yeah,
lot, but then quickly they don't.
no, and they're also
Yeah.
like watching them and taking
Yeah.
care and make sure they're okay. Like it's more to it than just like, oh, good, they're sleeping. Now I can just do whatever I want.
And you look at this, example specifically, she had her parents there to help.
Hmm.
Or was it her
Hmm.
parents or his parents?
It sounded like her parents were there.
Okay. So she's now lost two additional people that were helping her. So
Yeah. Hmm.
undoubtedly she's having to adjust to that. And
Hmm.
it's like you agreed. She stays home, you do the work, right? And then it's
Hmm.
like you mutually agree to have a child together.
Hmm.
And then you're mad that she can't facilitate these two roles, but you mutually had the child, so you should also be taking
Hmm.
that's my opinion. Because like if you're at
100%.
work, you're not taking care of the baby. Sure.
Hmm.
But once you get home, because she's also working that whole
Yeah.
time. Anybody who says staying at home mommy is not work, as someone who stayed at home for the first Was it 3 years? Was it 3?
Mhm.
Oh gosh, maybe it was 2. It was forever. Like I
Um,
had no, like almost no help at all.
no, yeah.
World's tiniest violin, um, but it was brutal on my mental health.
Hmm.
When my wife got home, I was like, "Thank God,
Hmm.
please."
It's hard on a marriage in a lot of times too, because
Yeah,
you are tired coming
you're
home
both
from work,
tired.
and you're like but then so you're both. It was always the weird. I remember that with our first child,
Mm.
especially that balance of like, um, the end of the day, you're both looking for relief.
Yeah.
Like and then you realize, oh no, parenting is always there's no,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
but the reality is though my stress, and this is not to downplay the stress of different jobs and hard
Hmm.
work, etc., but it's a different type of stress
Yes.
where it's adult stress versus they're both adult stress. I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. The taking care of a child is it's constant, it's 100% overbearing,
Constant. Yes.
never, it's unrelenting,
It's
right? It's
unrelenting and it like life or death.
yeah, like if you make a mistake,
Yes.
that's going to happen. And so it's a different type. So I always knew when I came home, regardless of how bad my day was, I had to mentally prepare myself that now this is she needs a break. She needs to
Right.
have time away from this child that is has been screaming in her face the entire day.
Well, it's that weird mentality of like he's doing her a favor.
Right.
I even put the baby down. It's like,
I even did some of because the implications, I did some of her responsibilities
yes.
of putting it to and that's the I don't even understand. I don't know, maybe it's because I was raised by a single mom that I never saw the I guess the bad gender role of or the traditional gender
Sure.
role in that regard. But like I've worked basically two full-time jobs for most of my kids' lives. And when I came home, I still cook most of our dinners. I still, drive like right now, I'm still driving one of our kids to school because they're at two different schools
Yeah.
right now. I still do most of our finances for the house. I still do, put away groceries. It's a shared bedtime routine every
Hmm.
night at bedtime. Like all of that stuff, because that's what being a parent is.
Yeah.
Nothing I do is it should not and I'm gonna be it's embarrassing that it's impressive. Right, because
Yeah.
nothing I don't I could do more, right?
Yeah.
There's still more that I feel like I always feel like there's more that I could be doing or should be doing regardless. And when I have to like could do to do stuff for work and I'm
Hmm.
away, I feel terrible because I should feel terrible about it to an extent because it's hard,
Yeah.
when you have and to be fair, I have two autistic children which require a little bit more
Hmm.
supervision and a little bit more intense kind of like taking them to physical therapy and occupational therapy and things like that. But for any child, there's so much that goes into it that I can't imagine just coming home from your work and be thinking, well, I was the one working all day, now it's time for you to get another child in addition to the child you were taking care of.
Yeah. I mean, there's something really intense about a job that is 24/7 and never ends.
Hmm.
Like people who are stay at home, like they they never leave their work. Their work never
Hmm.
stops. They are expected to do the same things 24/7 versus, there is something to be said for, this guy probably what this guy wants, which is to work and then have a little
Hmm.
downtime. And it's like, well, yeah, that probably would be great, but unfortunately, you have a partner, or I guess fortunately, but you have a partner and a child. Like it's so bizarre to me how detached some men are from parenthood. Like they
Hmm.
don't see it as like, oh, this is my child who I want to raise and want to take care of and want to make
Hmm.
sure their needs are fulfilled. And instead they see it as a job, like an
Hmm.
unemotional kind of like, oh, well, this is your thing and this is my thing. And
Hmm.
it's like, no, you're together. You are literally raising
Hmm.
a person. Like you have to both be involved. And for him to just kind of have no empathy and no emotion towards that. Like she's mad at me. I'm like, she's probably really stressed because she
Hmm.
had a baby. Like, bro,
Right.
like her hormones are probably off.
Hmm.
And like I can only imagine that the way he's talking about it, he has to be giving her subtle or maybe not so
Hmm.
subtle cues about his his unhappiness with the way the house is.
Hmm.
And that she's not cleaning enough, because he's
No.
like,
Yeah. Do you think he cleaned everything and didn't say anything about it, or was it a show? Was it like, okay, well, you know what? I cleaned downstairs
I just want you
today,
to know I did
so.
assist and I will
Mm-hmm.
put your baby down tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's always the vibe that they're the boss. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
her boss and she's not doing enough. Like they're not equals. Because that's not how you
Mm-hmm.
kind of react as a partner. If you're equals and you see your partner struggling, one would think you'd be like, oh, how can I help? What's going on? But the way he's talking about it almost as like he's her boss. Like, I gave you this job and these are the
Mm-hmm.
requirements and you're not living up to it.
It's also the idea of as if it's possible, and I know this is one of those things where only parents will understand, where but to if it's even possible to fully comprehend what being a parent is like, and the change that no matter how many books you read, no matter how many nieces and nephews you have, no matter how many whatever things you
Yeah.
do to prepare yourself. I remember just being so caught off guard by how much every aspect of our lives changed.
Yes.
Even though I read that, I knew that
You
until
can't know.
you can't experiencing it was such a surreal thing. And it's hard to like it's that change where you're like, oh yeah, nothing is the same ever again. Like we
Yeah.
are new. And so even if they had talked about, okay, well, you're gonna do this, and she was okay with it, and then that's
Sure.
fine. At a time, things change, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that was what they discussed ahead of time, and they realized, oh, actually, I can't do that. Like I'm not capable of doing what I thought I'd be able to do. And instead of resenting your partner over that, if you care about them and if you are also a parent of your child and invested in being a
Yeah.
parent of your child, then you have to adapt. You have to change. You can't just be like, this was the contract. This is what you promised
Legal
me.
document.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
again, it's like this is what are we at 3 months in? Because he said 1 month he had leave and then they stayed for
yeah.
2 months,
3 months
right?
in. Yeah.
It's
Hmm.
like, God, give her a second.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like you haven't even given like I would what do you think? Like 6 months is when you get even close to a pattern or like,
Yeah.
get your
Probably. Yeah.
bearings at all.
Yeah.
You're not sleeping well at 6 months, but you're probably
Yeah.
maybe sleeping a little bit better. My
Mhm.
child still does not sleep
Until
well.
your first sleep regression starts, right? And then
Oh
you,
God.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean like just give her a break. It's only
Hmm.
been 3 months and you're already like,
Hmm.
excuse me, miss, you're not fulfilling
At
your
three
end of the
months in, I was still a
bargain.
zombie, right?
Yeah,
I
100%.
still was not. I barely was even. And I mentioned on a previous show that I
Terrible
we
idea.
we both made the dumb mistake of like we had to get up together every single time
Nobody
at
sleeps.
night. There were
Yeah.
no shifts, and so it was about 3 months when we realized that we're going to die.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like it it makes me very sad. Like just listening to the way that men talk about these things and like this
Hmm.
is not an uncommon thing. You hear about this all the time like whether it's men, in this case she's not cleaning up the house or maybe it's her appearance. She's not looking good
Hmm.
enough. Which I'll kill you. I guess I
Hmm.
can't say that
Yeah.
on the podcast. I'm very upset.
I will murder you.
I mean, if I would ever throw hands, it would
Yeah.
be at that. Um, but yeah, it's just like they're so detached and so unemotional and like it's like your partner is struggling.
Hmm.
If your partner is unable to do basic care tasks, probably for themselves, I would imagine, not just the
Hmm.
house, I would imagine she's probably, as most mothers of a 3-month-old are struggling just to take care of themselves.
Hmm.
Like, instead of like having empathy for that or like reaching out and saying like, oh, how can I help her? Like, what can I do? She's really angry. Like, how can I
Hmm.
again, looking at the timing that she just had a baby. Like, I
Hmm.
don't think it's okay to take anger out on your partner, but I think if you just had a baby, maybe we should look at the two bits of information and see how they correlate. She's not
Hmm.
sleeping. Like, the idea that so many men don't have any empathy for their partner
Hmm.
who just gave birth, because guess who cooked the baby for what is it, 9 months? Uh,
Right.
Not you.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to do that. That was a
Mm-hmm.
24/7 shift, my guy, that she had to do that. You know what I mean? It's like they just don't take these things into account, and like they see their partner suffer and they say, "Well, that makes my day worse."
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is insane because my wife carried. So I saw her struggle and I was constantly like, what can I do? How do I make things
Mm-hmm.
better? How do I make it easy? Should I draw a bath? Should I do that? Like,
Right.
and she gave
Foot
birth.
massage? Do you need a foot massage? Can I give you
Oh,
another
I'm
one?
rubbing
Yeah.
backs. I'm
Yeah.
I'm getting snacks. I can't even tell you how many, especially when she was pregnant, late
Mm-hmm.
night gas station trips to get
Yeah.
chocolate. Like
Yeah.
whatever
I
she
will get you those
needs.
things. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you know me. I would learn
Yeah.
anything she needs. I'm like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll do it right now. To this day. But it's like I can't imagine like her because in that tradition, like so I was primary caregiver and then my wife gave birth and then I, took over the once she went back to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, this poor woman had both.
Mm-hmm.
She's supposed to be primary and she just gave birth. So you're just like, oh my God. It's just like again, I just don't understand looking at your partner that way. Like as
Mm-hmm.
if they're an employee or a
Mm-hmm.
coworker. Like having that little care.
They're getting negativity from everyone too. I remember seeing it from like even like I'll give you an example even of so in the mornings I want my wife to have like time for herself, right?
A
It's
minute
important to
to
me.
herself.
But like I want her to have
Yeah.
like to have moments without kids, just to shower and get ready and just have so
Ugh.
the first like 2 hours of every day, I take the kids downstairs, get them dressed, get them fed for school, get the stuff ready
Mm.
for it. And I remember there were times where like people would be like, and it's always these weird backhanded compliments, like, how do you like the people would ask her, like, how do you look nice in the morning, before
Yes.
school? And the reality was it was because she had a partner that was
A
supported,
partner?
that was doing the other, because she had a partner where
Yeah.
she was, because other people would look at it, it's so normalized that it's like, how are you doing all that and
100%.
also doing everything in the morning with the kids? Because the question couldn't be.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had the most supportive partner in the world. And
Hmm.
she's so supportive. The second she gets home from work and she works full time, she's up at 5 because she has to drive
Hmm.
an hour and she's literally from the second she enters the door helping with my daughter
Hmm.
and co-parents from the second just the second she enters the door, right?
Hmm.
Um and I could not picture a more supportive partner and I struggled so hard like
Hmm.
mentally physically like it took
Hmm.
I feel like only just now am I any do I resemble the person I once was before having kids, which I would do it again. Like I
Hmm.
love my daughter, I would do it again, but that's just the nature of like when you have a kid it does change your whole life and like nobody's ready for it. I certainly wasn't, and it was
Hmm.
COVID too, which made it worse. But
Yeah.
but I know it with the support that I had. And
Hmm.
then, I have that mom's page and like I would just hear every single day
Yeah.
so many stories about husbands that do nothing.
Hmm.
Literally come home,
Hmm.
don't want to do anything. And are put out. Like get the kids
Hmm.
away from me. I've had a long
Hmm.
day. Oh, well, you haven't had the kids all day.
Hmm.
Your partner has. Like
That
the
was that whole bar solo series I had for like this whole playlist on
oh, the bar
Facebook of
solo.
not Facebook on yeah, the bar solo.
I thought you were
There
saying bar solo, like
Oh no
singular,
no
like
no.
bar
The
solo. I'm
bar
like,
is so low. But there was one guy that I was not critiquing the guy. Actually thought
mm.
it was a funny video, but he had all these viral hits of like that were like thirst traps of him like taking out the trash
Yes, I've seen
and
those.
doing, and it was they were fun. It
It is
was
funny.
funny. Like he was
Yes,
not, and like I said, and I had to be clear when I stitched it. I was like, I am not critiquing this guy.
it's
I think it's
fine.
sad, but I think it's sad that this is considered to be, because you read the comments and people were like,
Mm-hmm.
that is though sexy though. He's doing the dishes.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh my God. I'm like, is it weird that I'm turned on by a guy taking out the trash? Like, and that's so beyond like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
What is going on in your home?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so normalized though. Like, it's people will talk about it online, but usually it's like commiserating. And if you call
Right.
stuff out, people get sensitive. We've talked about this where
Mhm.
we're like, hey, don't talk about my husband like that. I'm like, you talked
Mhm.
about it. It's like, it's just accepted in so many
Mhm.
ways, and societally speaking, like, just like golf, guys go to golf on every Sunday to get away. They need to get away for a
Mhm.
couple hours. And like, you don't hear the woman's side of that, or the
Mhm.
primary caregiver who's not a man. Like, you just don't. It's like, what is their escape? It's
Mhm.
it's so interesting because I feel like Mel Hamlet talks a lot about it, like hobbies,
Mhm.
and how men's hobbies like are like usually very expensive and get like the most time away from the family as possible,
Mhm.
and how there's not a reciprocal to that for women. And I'm like, damn, it's so true, because like so many women I know, like it's shocking to get a night
Mhm.
out. You know what I mean? And if they do
Mhm.
get a night out, they're on call. I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone out and been with women whose husbands have their child or their multiple children, and they're getting
Mhm.
calls and texts, or
Mhm.
even like,
Constantly.
I even had, this was not, this is a casual acquaintance, friend of a friend, and she was like getting punished because
Mhm.
she left the children with their father.
Mhm.
He was basically like, you're going to pay for this when you get back. And she was
Mhm.
discussing that she was upset about that and that it ruined her night. Like, she was like, oh, like this, like before she left, he had said that kind of as she was leaving. And
Mhm.
she was like getting texts and like about everything that was going wrong. And I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, what is happening?
You're not babysitting. They're your
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
She had multiple kids, but those
Well,
are your kids.
and this is one of the early. I don't. I haven't. I should probably re-up this series because there's so much to say on this. But it's embarrassing. Like it
Yeah.
genuinely is
It's sad.
embarrassing to like the guys that will like well their partner will have to make these like detailed lists of their teachers' names, their doctors' names, phone numbers to call, what to do in emergency, what groceries you need to buy, what you need to pack them for lunch, how to make them breakfast, how to get their bath ready, what stories do they like. They're so
That makes
uninvolved
me sad.
that all of that is just that something you need to be put in. Like my wife is going to she every year I kind of like buy her like a trip as like a gift somewhere, and she's going to visit her friend in Connecticut. They're going to a
Nice.
Broadway show and everything,
I
but she's gonna be gone
remember.
for yeah, and that was I did it. She's doing it again this year, and but she's gonna be gone, and she's gonna leave me when she leaves. A kiss goodbye, right? Like that's gonna
A middle
be
finger as she
the
leaves.
necessity of it. But
Yeah.
and like I always feel weird talking because it feels like look how great but it's not great. That's
Yeah, I get,
because if
yes.
any woman said the exact same thing, nobody would say it was great. Nobody
Yep.
would be like, "Wow, how impressive! You know your kid's doctor's name?
Right,
You know
right.
their allergies?
It's really
Nothing is
weird.
impressive about it. It's offensive.
It's
Like when I take my
parenting.
kids to the doctor, they'll be like, "Do you know what?" Like they'll ask me stuff like the way that they talk to me is so condescending. And I'm not offended, but I get why they're doing it, but it's very clear that they're expecting me to not know anything about my kids, and I'm like, and it's so sad that it's so normalized
Yeah.
that the basic act of parenting,
Yeah.
and guys will complain that the bar's not low, women want X, Y, and Z, and blah blah blah, but what they're conflating the how hard it is dating wise to like to hook up and meet somebody
Yeah.
with how hard life is, right?
Right,
With
right,
how hard
right.
a long-term relationship and raising a family is.
Yeah.
And it's also pretending that women, sorry, I'm going on a total rant right here, but
I
it's also
love it.
pretending that women also have it super duper easy in finding a man to or a partner, we'll say, to date, as if there's no rejection and all the
Yeah,
other
like they
horrible
don't get
things that go
rejection. Yeah.
into to dating someone, and also having to deal with so many douchebag guys that are going to enter the relationship treating them like trash.
Yeah.
um it's really easy for a woman to find a guy to hook up with. Sure, we can say that if a
Yeah.
woman wants to sleep with a
Have
dude,
sex. Yeah.
sure, that is, I would say that I think that is a, I don't think that is a uh what's the word I'm looking for,
Hot take.
a hot take to
Yeah.
say that it's easier for a woman to find a guy to sleep with than it would
Right.
be for a guy to that.
Sure.
But that is the who cares?
I know.
Like that's
Well, it's
not
also like how many women are lied to by men who want to
right.
sleep with
In
them.
order to sleep with them,
Yes,
right?
all the time.
Hmm.
How many women are met with one guy, sleep with them, and then get the next morning
Hmm.
a totally different guy?
They think, well, women, that's what I want. I
I
want a
got
woman
my
just to
thing.
sleep with. I got my thing.
Bye.
It's like if that's not what you're seeking, and kudos to you if you're a woman watching this and you just want guys to hook up with, wonderful. That's
We
your
love
life. I
that for
don't care.
you.
That is beautiful. But if you're seeking a relationship
Yeah.
because of all of the dudes that I critique on my channel and that you critique on, F the nice guy and talking about
Yeah.
this, there's so much misinformation, bad information, and bad advice that is out there that I can't even fathom the minefield of
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out who the hell this person is in front of you as a woman specifically in the dating scene that is out there
It's
right now.
crazy. I mean, there's so many liars now and cheaters is like
Hmm.
it's a nightmare out there. But I think it's interesting because like I really do think that like non-straight couples, so whether that's like gay, lesbian, or you
Hmm.
know, non-binary, whatever, um, really mess up like the gender expectations and like what is
Hmm.
seen as normal because you know people will like even my own relationship it's like no we both do it we both take
Hmm.
care of each other we both take care of the child we both support each other like and because there's it's not man and women like people act like that's the way it has to be
Hmm.
and because there's no assumed gender roles in our relationship we do it all we try and do
Hmm.
as much as we can 50-50 and like you know a lot of non-straight couples are proof of like no it doesn't have to be that way actually like
Hmm.
the person who's going to work which you know it stereotypically would be the guy even though
Hmm.
nowadays that's a crazy part nowadays everybody's working
Right.
like it's
Right.
crazy like because so many
Hmm.
like stay-at-home moms or whatever are working or have a side gig or have something
Hmm.
it's like it's so rare for anybody to have like one
Hmm.
partner not working and so it's like that's not even realistic anymore. So even that example is like it's annoying because you're like
Hmm.
that doesn't happen. But it's like there's so much that we were taught is normal and now I think because we're seeing different versions of what a couple can look like,
Hmm.
proving like no, there doesn't have to be a dominant someone who works and someone who caretakes and that's it. Like there can be
Hmm.
crossover and you can help each other. And that's not just the way it is, that's the way you're choosing to be.
Hmm.
And I think bad toxic men have gotten away with
Hmm.
it for so long, convincing women like, oh, well, that's just how it is. Men can't do the laundry. You know that.
Right. I get a lot of guys that are really, I think part of what pisses them off is that my relationship does actually embody a lot of traditional gender norms,
She,
right? Like, and my wife is a stay-at-home mom,
mm-hmm.
right? I am the breadwinner of our house.
Ah,
I am doing blah, 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 blah. I am a very, I'm a 6'5" man, right? Like
here we go
I had
again.
to bring it up again. If it doesn't come,
Yes, and we're
no,
gonna.
but like it,
Yeah,
I embody. I have, and it's just a new thing. Is like I've seen videos where like I have a social media presence, right? I have like something of value to offer, right?
sure.
I'm a high value man,
Don't.
right? And so
I'm gonna spray you with water. You better knock it off.
no, but the point is like, yeah, the even though I am it's
By their
possible to
standard.
do by their standards to do the things
Mm-hmm.
that they think makes a good man and still also value your partner's time, be an active parent, be involved in as an equal to the
Yeah.
person that you are with, and not treat them like property, and not believe that and to not control every aspect of
Yeah.
their life,
Ugh.
right? That it's possible that you can still have some of it. Now, our relationship was not like it was, we didn't set out where I would be the worker and she would be at
You
home. It
be
just,
the worker.
yeah, it just happened that
Yeah.
in that way because of her own choices that she has made in her life, but it was
Yeah.
never a thing that was set out that way. Yeah, it's hard for them to see, well, why would you be okay then? You're the one doing this sort of thing. Why would you be okay with her not doing it? Like, because I'm a human.
She's
She's a human
taking
that I
care of my
love. Yeah,
children.
we have a family together. She works just as hard. I have never once in our relationship felt like I work harder than her.
Right.
Never once
Right.
have I been like, why is she not pulling her weight in our home? Right?
Can I say something? And
Mhm.
then you say no, and then I say it
Sure.
anyways. Just to
No.
that point. Just you
Yeah,
normally do. No.
I know. It's my dad joke.
And
That's
then
what I
I
do to my
go,
kids all the time.
fine. And then
Yeah.
I just say it anyways. So we'll skip past that. But I one of the things I like a sentiment that I love is how like misogyny, one of its greatest tricks was convincing themselves and women that caretaking tasks are the easier roles.
Mm,
Because bullshit.
mm-hmm,
Caretaking tasks are so incredibly challenging. Like caregiving roles
mm-hmm,
are so incredibly taxing. Having to
mm-hmm,
be on, having someone needing of you that is dependent on you. Like it is, as someone who has become a parent, I'm like, holy shit. And the amount of emotional regulation it takes to do it
mm-hmm,
without like because you have to get your like keep your shit together no matter what's happening because you don't want to
mm-hmm,
take your emotions out on the child. You want to show them what it means. You're trying to teach them empathy. You're trying to mold them into
mm-hmm,
the wonderful person that they are and implement like values and morals. Like that takes so much. And to raise a child and it's like where they feel fully supported and like emotionally and physically, like it is so hard to do.
mm-hmm.
And yet, so many men think like, oh, well, that's the easy job. All she
Well,
has
because
to do
it's
is eat bonbons and watch a baby. It's like, are you fucking kidding?
yeah.
Give those men their kid for
Mm-hmm,
2 hours and watch
mm-hmm,
them unravel because they will be screaming at babies. Like it's
mm-hmm.
insane.
Yeah. The other aspect of it is parenting is really easy if you don't give a fuck. If you don't care about your
If
kids,
you don't
like
parent, it's
if you
really
don't
easy.
mind it being shitty,
Right.
right? If you don't actually have any investment in them being a good human being, then yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's easy, but you could have an easier
It's
time
like keeping
if
them
you don't.
alive. Like,
Yeah,
sure.
if your only thing you're worried about is keeping them alive, yet even then you see all these like videos of moms that leave their kids alone with them, and it's
The dad falls asleep. There was one where
mm-hmm,
the toddler, like it was, I don't even know if you could count this as a toddler. I think it was a baby that could
mm-hmm,
kind of toddle.
mm-hmm,
Um, toddling, but not a toddler.
mm-hmm,
And got the hot coffee and
mm-hmm,
luckily didn't burn themselves, but had pulled the
mm-hmm,
cup and the dad's like, whoops, like fall
mm-hmm,
asleep with a newborn. Um, or the weaponized incompetence, the videos where like the mom's trying to shower and they just hand him the
mm-hmm,
baby because and the baby's
mm-hmm.
screaming the whole shower. I will tell you what, there's nothing worse than trying to shower and your child is screaming.
Oh yeah.
I've had that happen a couple times, even though my wife was really trying to, to stop it from happening.
Mm,
Like, because it's like you can't get away from it. And like,
yeah.
oh my God, it's insane. Like, again,
Mm-hmm,
I truly believe, like, because I believe men are capable of so much,
mm-hmm,
as I believe every gender is, I absolutely think it's weaponized incompetence when they do shit like that. Like that,
mm-hmm.
you don't know you can't fall asleep with a newborn.
Right. So
You
what are you
don't know
talking
that.
about? I babysat my kids for 3 hours, slept the entire time.
It was
This is
great.
so easy. Why don't you do this
Uh,
every single time? The house is just a train
yes.
wreck,
Oh,
right? Where
those videos where they come home to
mm-hmm,
that, the mom's been gone and comes
mm-hmm,
home and their house is destroyed.
yeah. What was
No.
like the my wife was sick earlier this week,
Oh.
and I went upstairs to take a shower,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the kids are like, here's our chance. And so when I came back
Ah,
downstairs, oh my, it was just like
destroyed.
everything, because it's one of those things where that's what happens. It's basically like like a dad watch an uninvolved father watching their kid is like a
Mm-hmm.
parent that has the flu that
Right.
they
Yeah.
cannot
Yeah.
do it, and that's what happens to it. And then who ends up and luckily, once again, in a if this was a traditional household, I'd come down and be like, well, looks like you got a lot of work to do
You got
later.
a lot of work to
Oop,
do.
yep.
Come on. When that fever goes.
This is what you have, man. I'm sorry. This is going to be a pain in the butt to clean up when you're better. But I'm supportive, so you're allowed to wait 3 days to
Yeah,
clean it
you
all
can
up,
have three
though.
days. The woman who she was upstairs. I think she had COVID. I think she and her
Mhm.
kid had COVID. I'm 90% sure because they were quarantining, which usually you only do that if it's that. And the
Mhm.
husband was downstairs, no kid, no
Mhm.
child, just him. She came down and there were dishes everywhere. There's a video of her cleaning it. There was mold, like literally mold all throughout all the dishes because he's just like, well, I guess I'm a bachelor now. It's like
Yeah.
you washed a dish before
Yep.
you were married. Unless mommy took care of you, you
Right.
did your own dishes. These are not things, these are things just to take care of yourself and your home. These are your
Mhm.
items. You can clean up after yourself. And he literally did nothing and let things, she said she came down and it stunk.
Yeah.
And he was just like that's a middle finger for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just like, what the hell? I can't imagine.
Yeah. It's not even like it's a very specific niche skill that like, hey,
How do
I
I
didn't,
do this?
or not even a niche skill, but like say if it's something like I didn't know how to patch a hole in their pants because maybe that's not a
Sure.
skill that it's everyone should know how to use a basic needle, but like in general, maybe it's like, all right, well,
I wouldn't do that well.
I don't know how to sew,
I don't
but
know
I'm
how to
sure
sew.
I could patch. I'm sure I could patch a hole.
Sure, sure, sure.
I've used at least I would try, right? If
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was a
yeah.
situation attempted where I'm like, crap, we need to fix
Yeah.
this up. I wouldn't be like, well, we gotta wait
Can't
for
do it.
mom to get home. I would, yeah.
Yeah.
But like in general, like if it's you know how to do dishes, you know how to
Right.
wash clothes,
Yes.
right? You know how to do certain things. Um, and it's beyond weaponized incompetence. It's like I said, I go back to it's insulting that somehow saying that men are capable of doing more is the controversial
I know.
point
I
because
get
then it
yelled
means
at.
that they're gonna have to do those things. Yeah.
It's literally like when people claim, per my nickname for this podcast, that I hate men
Hmm.
because I believe men are capable of more,
Hmm.
which I think is
Oh, what?
crazy.
So women can't do anything wrong then? I'm not talking about women right
Stop straw
now.
manning me. Leave
Why?
it.
Yeah.
It's like it's
It's
so
so
bullshit. I've
frustrating.
just started to when people do that, I'm like, no, because they're
Yeah.
literally they're just trying to pull away from, like they're trying to straw man you into a completely separate
Hmm.
argument that you feel like you
Hmm.
need to argue because they know that they're wrong. If they didn't know they were wrong, they would be able to fight the topic at hand. They're
Hmm.
constantly trying to distract or detract whatever. It's just like if you knew you were in the right, you could have like if I'm in the right, I can argue with someone. If
Hmm.
I know I'm not right, if I've realized my argument is wrong, then you may sidetrack,
Right.
right? Because you're like, shit.
Yeah.
I get fights with my wife
Hmm.
randomly. I'll say something crabby and she'll react, and I'm like, oh, okay, then
Yeah.
I'm wrong. And then you panic, try and bring something else in, and then you're like, no, I'm
Yeah.
wrong. I'm just wrong. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was just crabby 5 minutes ago. But it's like that's what you do when you know you're not. Your argument doesn't have
Hmm.
solid footing. And so
I notice if I'm ever in a situation like that, you're right though, when I notice that I'm like my only response is to say, well, what about? Then I'm like,
yeah.
I'm fucking wrong.
Well,
I
yeah,
hate it. I
yeah.
hate when that happens.
That's only like if someone's blatantly disregarding something. Like,
Uh-huh.
like
Right, right.
acting like something else doesn't exist. You're like, oh,
Hmm.
okay, well, what about? But it is
Yeah,
whataboutism. There's literally a term
yeah.
for it when you're just
The
like,
thing about whataboutism though is it's not people pretend like it's always 100% wrong to say
mhm,
what about, but like
sure,
there is a time, especially when you're pointing out hypocrisy,
yes.
that where it is applicable, but it's not.
I don't think it's
It's
whataboutism then. I think
no, it's
I think it
yeah, but
only
it's
applies
looked
to when
at.
it's yeah.
Hmm.
There are absolutely valid reasons to say what about
Hmm.
blank, like if
Hmm.
someone's making a bold statement and you're like,
Yeah.
well, what about this example where that's not
Hmm.
true? That is
Hmm.
100% valid. I think whataboutism only applies when you're just like completely
Hmm.
derailing
It's
something.
like it's like, well, I don't like changing diapers. Yeah, well, I what about when I had to change our tires?
Exactly. Well, you never help me
You don't
with the
like doing
household
that.
chores. Well,
Hmm.
what about when I'm on the roof? And it's
Hmm.
always, did you ask her?
Hmm.
Did you ask? Did you ask for her help?
Right.
No. Like they
Right.
never do. They never want like they don't it's the
Yeah.
craziest part is they like don't want that combined effort, but they
Hmm.
want it's just like, dude, and if you look at like how often did you work on the roof? And how often do
Hmm.
you need to do dishes?
Hmm. It's always yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Hmm.
Sons of guns, Chesko, I'll tell you.
We should say, for the sake of anyone that is watching this that is considering having children, parenting there are positives.
You know what though? Like, here's my
Uh,
thing. I love parenting. I love
mhm,
being a mom. I love being an aunt. Like, I love kids in
mhm.
general. But I think I
Acknowledging the reality of
well, I
those.
don't think people are realistic. Like if I didn't want kids 100%, I would not want to have them. You like
Hmm.
it is really hard and it's
Right.
hard on you
Right.
mentally and like, it's a lot of stress and you want to make sure again you're like raising this person and giving them what they need and supporting them in
Hmm.
all the ways that they should be supported and deserve to be supported. Like that's rough. And I think there's so much content out there completely disregarding all of the struggles of parenting that are
Hmm.
just like,
Hmm.
hi, I'm going to build a rocking horse for baby Juniper. Like, and that's great. You know what?
Yeah.
If you're doing that, that's great. But I do think it's disingenuous to not acknowledge the struggles of
Hmm.
parenthood. And like, I still would be a parent. I could watch any video about any struggle and I
Hmm.
would still choose to be a parent. And I'm glad
Hmm.
I am. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. But there are people who maybe didn't know how hard it was
Hmm.
going to be, and maybe didn't know. That's the other thing is like these dudes taking it full circle.
Hmm.
Like guys like that rarely ever are honest about being a parent because they say they want to be a dad, but they
Hmm.
want to have the title of dad and the
Hmm.
status of dad, but they
Hmm.
don't want to have the responsibility. And that's the other thing is
Right.
like making sure when you partner with someone, like make sure what it means to them to be a dad
Hmm.
or a mom, whatever, or a parent. Make sure
Hmm.
because like they may say they want to be a dad, but they're going to be like, "Well, I helped you by getting up," as he said a couple
Hmm.
nights. It's like
Hmm.
then they don't really want to be a parent. They want to
Hmm.
assist you in
I
parenting.
I feel like the hardest part, at least based on this is me, I don't want to be careful not to speak for women. Well, the hardest thing I see
Whoa.
talked about, I know, as I'm talking, and you can confirm or deny from what I pick up from my comment sections, it
Always
feels
do.
like a lot of times, that the hardest part is you go into having babies assuming you're going to have a supportive partner, or you
Yes.
read about all these books about what it's like going to be as you're raising it
Yes.
as together with another human being, and then understanding that none of those books apply to the fact when you are end up having to then also mother your partner,
Hmm.
versus the complaint you hear from all these fucking dude bros online about it is always about how she is not giving him what she used to give. She is not able to be the wife to him that he had before the baby. And so they think that's somehow the same argument, like, oh, we both have complaints, as but
Hmm.
they don't see that it's not where that focus is why that's a problem, why that's a problematic take to have.
Yeah, it's like the woman is complaining because and again, this is kind of broad stroking,
Very, very
but
broad strokes,
it very
obviously. Yeah.
broad strokes, very gendered.
Hmm.
But from the hetero couples that I hear from, the woman is complaining for lack of support for raising their child,
Hmm.
and the man is complaining because he doesn't get the fun stuff he got before.
Right. It's like a lot of men, toxic men, I'll use your thing where you like
There we go.
bad dudes, right, that are unsupportive men,
Yes.
are angry that they have a competitor, that now that this is the competition.
It's gross.
um
It's really weird.
yeah.
It's true though.
Hmm.
They genuinely get upset about that. I've heard I'm like, it's a baby. Like it's your
Right.
baby.
Right.
But yeah, I mean and again, I think it shows you like the idea with these toxic men is like they expect your life to change entirely, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, this guy's like, you're going to take on the baby, you're going to do all of
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Which again changes your entire life, but they
Mm-hmm.
don't expect their life to change at all. And if their life has changed, and that could be in the sense of even just like being a parent, which is super weird, like they didn't know they were going to be a parent when they became a parent, but also
Mm-hmm.
in partnership. Like if you're giving any less, if you're not doing your makeup as much, if you gain weight, like they don't want any less
Mm-hmm.
of their life. Their life, they don't want it to change at all,
Mm-hmm.
or else they're
Mm-hmm.
frustrated. And yet they expect women to completely change everything with a smile.
Right.
And that's insane.
Right.
Like this guy, he's like, wait, having a baby? Like, again, like
Mm-hmm.
all of your you are doing the same amount of roles. You are doing your job. That is what you
Mm-hmm.
think you should do. She's still trying to do her job now with everything else that comes with being a parent. Of course, like
Mm-hmm.
of course it's going to change things up for her. Of course her coping mechanisms are going to fail. Her structure is going to change. She's not going to have time to do the laundry and the dishes like she did before. She's clearly sleeping less because you're saying she used to sleep till 12, so her sleep schedule
Mm-hmm.
is screwed.
Mm-hmm.
She's going to be completely overwhelmed. And he's like,
We agreed, though. We agreed that my job was to work from 8 to 6 and you do everything else.
love life now, hate life later. But it just
Yeah.
showcases the expectation that his life was not going to change
Mm-hmm.
and that he wasn't going to be asked to do more. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the crazy part. And I think that's often what's expected is that a
Yeah.
woman should give everything to motherhood, and a guy is just going to kind of clock in every now and again. And if he does, he should get rewarded.
Right. I get to live my life exactly the same. It should have
Yep.
very little repercussions on my
Yes.
life.
Yes.
This is your baby that I am gifting you.
You're welcome.
You're well, and I'm a little upset. I don't remember getting a thank you.
I didn't even get a
Uh,
card from you. I actually had one time, my friend, she's not with this guy anymore. This was like when she was delivering, like she was
mm,
going into labor. And I texted her now ex, who I hate,
mm.
and bad dude. And he was like, thank you for texting me. Nobody's even been texting me. No one's checking up on me. And I was like,
There was
bro.
I don't know if it was a tweet or a thread or a throot there that somebody I like to use the word throot for past term thread. It hasn't caught on.
I
Um
see why.
yeah, see but somebody tweeted like it was something like notice how nobody ever asked how the father is doing after the baby is born because everyone it says mother and daughter are doing fine, and somebody responded, Yeah, because dads don't sometimes die during birth." It's like, yeah, that's why the mother and baby are doing fine.
Hmm.
Their lives were literally in danger. There was a non-zero chance that one of them wouldn't make it. That's why you say the mother and the baby are doing well. I don't give a fuck if the father, what did the father slip in the hospital? Is that what we're worried about now?
Can you imagine watching your wife give birth and being like, I'm not getting enough attention.
Why isn't nobody asking how I'm
Where's my heart rate
handling this,
monitor? No
Yeah.
one's giving me a compress.
Could I get some ice chips too? Those look good. Are those good?
There are people that did. There was a story of somebody kicked their
Mm.
partner out of their bed and was in their bed watching the TV, and the nurses intervened. And I believe it was a C-section. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, I think
Chesko rejects that completely. You're
I
like,
don't want to
I
even
can't
talk.
speak.
I hate everyone. I think in the end, and this is something
Whoa.
that's important. What?
I just loved all the prefaces that went into that.
I
You're
don't
like,
know
I
what to
think
say.
in the end,
I'm so disappointed. Like I'm so disappointed in my gender.
get it together, guys.
Come on. Well, because and I think it's a conversation that's uncomfortable that people need to have though
Mm.
before deciding to have a family
100% ask.
is what is it? What is our life going to look like
Yes.
afterwards?
Do you change diapers? Will you get
Mhm,
up in the middle of the night? Whose job is it to do this? Will you
mhm,
do feedings? Like Like if the baby has colic, like for example, my daughter had like colic stomach problems.
Mm,
So she would nurse and then I'd have to hold her up for 20 minutes throughout the
mm-hmm,
night and stay awake, just sit
mm-hmm,
straight up. And like, will they do that for you? Like ask them the
mm-hmm,
questions. Like I think men, toxic men can lie about that, but often
mm-hmm,
you'll get a reaction. They'll be like,
mm-hmm.
"What?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing that."
'Cause
Yeah.
there are a lot of married single moms out there. And that's
Facts.
a important thing that I don't think, at least in my experience, people aren't signing up to be single
No.
parents when you're, and then, like, as a child of a single parent and seeing what she went through. I don't see, I mean, there is a difference. I'm not going to say obviously it's a extremely difficult. I can't even fathom not having a partner to be able to do to balance our schedule with and do everything together with. But it's the fact that so many people are having to fulfill a very similar role. I don't want to say they're the same role, a
Yeah.
very similar role though. Being in a marriage is ridiculous, and it's sad, and it's too fucking common.
Yeah.
Um, but here we are.
Agree. Well, to cap it all off, yes, he is the asshole, I think is the sum of this.
Yes, agreed. Not me.
Well, not about this.
Sometimes.
Not about
Yeah.
this. All right, friends. Well, thank you for joining us. As always, don't forget we have the Patreon where we do the pre-show every single week. It's unhinged. We're unwell. It's
Yeah.
fine.
This week we might have to cut out some of it.
I know.
Yeah.
And then we have our socials. So check out all the links that'll be underneath this episode. Anything else, Chesko?
And remember to always F the no.
Why do you always put my tagline in this episode?
We need a tagline we need to have one for our show at the end.
Okay.
We need to think of one.
I thought ours was just bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
All right. We'll work on a tagline. Oh, let us know if you have a tagline idea.
There you
and
go.
if we find a good one, we will
If
absolutely
you're
use
still
it.
listening, you're one of our actual hardcore listeners. So if you're still listening to us at this point, help us figure out an ending, a tagline to the show other than bye.
Bye. Well, also, bye.
Bye.